Hi everyone. Thought I'd talk to you today about the custom buttons on my a7 III. In the coming weeks and stuff like that, I'll be sharing all my settings and what I'm using on my camera. I'll be doing more training videos. The channel's going to change a little bit and I'll be giving more instructional videos as well as still showing shoots and things like that. But I thought today I'd start with the a7 III custom buttons and just sort of talk to you about how I've set it up. If you've watched the previous button, you'll know that I've set the AEL button on the back to use back button focus, and that's the way I like to use that. And what I was talking about there is this custom button here is already set to the back button focus, so I'll talk about that shortly and what I use and things like that. So basically, if we go back to the buttons that are used, we have C1, there's C2. On the top of the camera, this is your exposure compensation. This is your mode dial where you select whether you want to be shooting in aperture mode or manual, things like that. They're the only settings that you have on the camera itself. I did talk about how I've using back button focus, so I have disengaged the focus off the shutter button, and now that is just to be used to take the photo. The back button focus uses the AEL on the back. If we look on the back of the camera, we also have C3 over here. Like I said, I'm using the AF on button for my back button focus, and there's also the AEL, and obviously you also have the FN button through here, and your some quick settings that you can set on the back of this scroll wheel as well, just pressing down on the four areas. So there's top, bottom, right and left hand side. There's a play button here and also the trash can there. These can all be set to different things. So I'm going to take you through basically how I set mine. So what we'll look at first, we'll look at the top of the camera. So we're going to start to look at what these settings are on the actual top of the camera itself. So we'll look at the C1 and the C2 button down here. So we'll look at those settings here to see what they're actually set at. So let's start out with this. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you what I've set my C1 as. Now if I click onto the C1, you'll notice straight away that what I've got, and I'll show you where these are all set shortly. I've set this to exposure flash exposure compensation. Now, I use flash an awful lot, nearly in all my shoots, and I've found that this is the best place to just bring this up. So all I do is click that C1. So all I'm doing is just clicking on the C1 button that you can see here, and basically that will immediately bring up that flash compensation. Everyone will have different usage or usages for what they will want in these buttons. These are just what I've set mine at, and like I said, I love that quick access to be able to give the flash more or less exposure, and that's the quickest way that I've got for setting that. If I press the C1 again, that will obviously disappear. The C2 button, which is this button here, if I press on that at the moment, you're probably going to find that it won't do anything. It will give a warning. Now it's basically saying because I'm on continuous focus here, it's not going to work. It gives you a bit of an idea about what's going on. So I've set this basically to give me a feature when I'm doing manual focus. So I'll show you what that is. So I'm going to, and I'll talk about this setting in a minute. I'm going to change the setting to manual focus. Now, immediately when I do that, the C2 button, when I press it now, will bring in a dialog box like that, which means I can zoom that in. And if I press again, it will bring it in even larger. If I press it 3 times, it goes back out again. If I press it once and I then move the wheel at the back, or actually, I think it's the joystick actually, sorry. If I move the joystick around, you'll probably find that we'll move that across, so you can choose other areas where you'd like to pinpoint that focus. So I'll basically just put it around the face of someone that you may know. So if I press the middle button, it will zoom into that. And then obviously I can then grab focus, like go out of focus, and I can zoom in to check focus. If I want critical focus, I can obviously press this button. Now what I'm pressing is the center there. So if I press the center of that button down, you'll see that it will zoom in once again, and then I'm in very large, so you can check critical focus there as well. And again, if I just press the center button, or if I press the shutter button, it should go out. Actually, it is a center button, and then it will come out. So let me put back to the AFC again. So that's those two buttons on the top. I've got the C1 button set for the flash compensation, and I've got the C2 button set for zooming in if I want to check manual focus. If I go here and go to C3 for changing your continuous or your focus modes, so obviously I can just change to single focus AFA, which chooses automatically between AFC and AFS depending on whether the subject moves or is still. You've got AFC, DMF, which gives you, I'm going to talk about these other focus modes in another video, so I'm not going to go through this much at this stage. And you've also got manual focus as well. So that's what I've used the C3 on. So that is basically on at the moment, just at using my focus settings. If we look on the back of the camera again, we've also got the AF on button and the AEL button, so I'll take you through both of those. So if I use now the AF on button at the back, you'll notice that it's using face detect is on, and I'll talk about those settings at another time. But it is using face detect, so then if I move around, it will hold onto the face. Then I can just press the shutter on the front to take the image that I actually want to grab. It's using back button focus, which I discussed in the previous video, and that works really well. If I hold the AEL button down, it will grab onto the eye, so that's using IAF as well, and I'll show you where all these settings are, and I like to have those independent of one another because sometimes I may not want to grab the eye. It sometimes can grab the wrong eye, and then I'll just go and grab face detect or things like that. I like to have the IAF on a separate button. That's why I've got that set on the AEL. So if you're looking at it, the AF on is using back button focus, the AEL is using IAF. That's the way they're both working. Obviously your menu button is just scrolling through the menu, so that's what you're seeing when I'm hitting on to this to see all the menus that you've actually got there as well. So let's look now down at the custom settings on the back of the camera itself. The FN menu I'm going to go through in a different video and show you what I've got in my special menu, as the FN menu there, so I'll discuss that. There's also a special menu that I'll talk to you about in another video as well. But let's look at these buttons down here through this display, etc., and also the trash cam, what I've got those set for down the bottom. So if I scroll the up on the wheel, I got that set to my display, so it will actually change things with display. You can see at the moment that brought up my, let me just move this for you, it brought up my histogram. If I keep going, it'll have my all the controls you can see at the back that I'm using there. You can get your levels showing up, so it will give, then there's nothing showing, histogram, that's levels if you want to make sure something's level, and also, like I said, all your display is showing up through there as well. If I press the right hand side, it gives me my ISO, so that's how I can control my ISO very, very quickly. So what I've used here, the up that is displayed through here was giving me different displays like my histogram, etc. This is ISO that was showing through there. If I'll just put this back onto auto for this case. If I scroll to the left-hand side, that's where it uses my drive mode. These are actually default settings, but they can be changed if you want to. Like you've got your single, your high, you've actually got timer, etc. But I'll talk about these in another video at another time. If I go down on this, it gives me my clear image zoom. And then I can zoom in. Now this will only work with JPEG or in video, so I've set this on JPEG just to show you how this will work if you're shooting in JPEG or if you're shooting in movie. It's a great feature. You get this with any of the lenses, so you can zoom up to 2 times, really with no penalty loss at all. So I'm using that there as well. Now to turn that on, I'll just show you where it actually is. So if I go over to the movie settings at the top, if I go to 5, you can see there that I've got clear image zoom on. So that gives you that ability to use that. And like I said, it will only work if you're dealing with JPEG or if you're dealing with the video. So if you're working with RAW, it won't work because clear image zoom will only work with JPEG. So that's a great setting to use. It really is something I use all the time, and it can mean you can put a 50mm, 55mm lens on and you can end up getting 120mm or something like that, or 110mm. It works fantastic. So that's what that setting is. So to show you those again on here, that was going on the left hand side, which is giving you whether you wanted to use single shot, multiple shot, timer, etc. If I scroll down on the wheel through there, that is giving me the clear image zoom through there as well. If I scroll on the trash can at the bottom, I've got that to set zebras. I like to see zebras all the time to give me highlight warnings of whether I'm clipping and things like that. So I like to have that, but sometimes it can be distracting, so I'll turn it off. So I've just got that setting on the trash can. Yeah, so you can see there, if I hold it down, the trash can, it will go off. If I hold it down again, it will go on. So that's a great feature as well. So basically, they're the settings. The joystick at the back is just set to its default setting. Like I said, I'm going to take you through the other things, the other menus, like the FN menu, which is this menu, a little bit later on. Okay, so let's go and look at how we change those settings in the menu itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the menu button, and then I'm going to scroll across. You've got to be in the video button, as you'll see the icon at the top, the shaded in purple, number 2, the camera, and then I'm going to scroll across until I get to the custom keys. Now you can see there, now just to show you what the number is, if you're looking at it, it's actually on 8 of 9 in the video menu, and if I click into there, you can see at the moment the settings that I've used. Now I'm going to put my picture up here so I'm not in the way of anything. So let's have a look. So basically this is your custom key settings. Custom button 1, I've got flash compensation. So that was C1 as I showed you before. Now you can just click into here and change it to anything you like. This is the great part about how customizable these Sony cameras are. Like I said, I've got it on that setting, which is flash compensation. Custom button 2, which is the focus magnifier, that is where I showed you how I zoomed in when I was doing manual focus. Custom button 3 is focus mode, which I think is standard. That was how I set those buttons to show AFS, AFC, etc. And custom button 4, which was the trash can, is my zebras being displayed as well. If you go up to number 2 up here, this is the actual scroll wheel at the back. So this is where you're dealing with this on the back for those settings. So again, I've got mine set to the center is focus standard. The center button is on IAF. The left, now that will bring up IAF. If I hold that down again, it's just duplicated. The left button is drive mode, so you can see there that if I click on to the left hand side, that was giving me the drive mode. The right button is giving me my ISO, and the down button is giving me that clear image zoom that you saw before. So they're the settings that I've got there as well. If I click into here and then go up to number 3, you can see here, this is how I set my back button focus that you can see in a previous video. I've got the AEL button as IAF, which is that AEL button on the back here I'm talking about. So it's that one that we're setting through there. The AF on is this one, and that's your C3. If we're looking at this here, so AEL is on IAF, AF on button is on AF on, and then I've got focus hold button is on the IAF, which is the AEL button. And that's the settings that I've actually used there. So, and I've found they work really well for me. Like I said, I've got the settings the same for all of those. Like if you look at them, when you go into the actual menu itself, you can go into here, and I've just said follow custom the photography buttons. You can do separate buttons for video. You can do separate buttons just for stills if you like. You can even do custom settings just for the actual your play key, which is down the bottom as well. So there's multiple things that you can set. The customizable, or how much you can customize these keys, is incredible. This is why I laugh sometimes when people say you just can't get through the menus. Well, once you've set all these custom buttons and things like that, you very rarely need to go into the menus at all. So I hope you found that useful. It's just something I thought I'd share with you. Like I said, I'm going to actually share multiple different videos like this coming up in the coming weeks, more instructional type videos of how the camera actually works rather than just showing shoots and things like that. So stay tuned for that. Just to let you know too, I have got Patreon up and running now. So if you did want to support me there, please feel free to join. I think it's going to be a really amazing thing. I'm not going to talk about that much now, but there's extra features that you guys will get if you do join that. There's also a PayPal donation as well if you'd like to leave a donation for the channel. Any money I make from any of the PayPal donations or also the Patreon are going to be put towards buying new gear so that I can actually review that for you guys and sort of just expand the channel. So that's all for now, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now.